Mai Atal is the biopic of one of India's most formidable statesmen, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Vajpayee was a Renaissance man editor, orator, poet, and above all, a politician who shaped the contours of our country. His career began in the 1940s. When he joined the RSS, he was an active participant in the freedom struggle and was elected to the Lok Sabha. For the first time in 1957, he was a key architect of the BJP in 1980 and the party's first president. He served as Prime Minister 3 times and was the first non-Congress PM to complete a 5-year term. Vajpayee pushed for economic reforms. He oversaw the nuclear tests in 1998, but he also actively pursued peace with Pakistan. Critics of the BJP often labelled Vajpayee the right man in the wrong party. Even his opponents were admirers. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh called him the Bhishma Parmar of Indian politics. In short, his life was larger than cinema, which is precisely the challenge that director and co-writer Ravi Jadhav is unable to overcome. Meal, who is inspired by the Marathi book A Kav Rashi Charit Kahani by Sangdaran. The film begins with the Kargil War. Prime Minister Vajpayee is pushing back with force and determination. Behind this opening raised hope that the film might avoid that traditional linear narrative that Hindi biopics routinely dabble in. Instead, the screenplay would focus on one watershed event in Vajpayee's life, which would demonstrate the steel the man was made of. Similar to Joe Wright's 2017 film Darkest Star, that film, which featured Gary Oldman delivering an Oscar-winning performance as Winston Churchill, focused on 4 weeks when the Prime Minister had to grapple with vicious internal politics and the history-altering question of whether or not to negotiate with Adolf Hitler, even though we all know what happened. Darkest Hour was constructed like a breathless political thriller. Sadly, Mai Atal, who doesn't have a fraction of that tension within minutes. The narrative moves into a flashback of Vajpayee as a young boy, and at over 139 minutes, the film zips through 60 years, documenting Vajpayee's rise and the way in which the political landscape and the country changed the story. Screenplay and dialogue are by Ravi Jadhav and Rishi Vamani, among Bohr and Mures. Bohr are also credited as co-writers. The result is what happens with way too many Bollywood biopics. Mai Atal Home becomes the highlights. Reel that kin from one major event to another without giving the characters enough time to find depth or the audience to feel any emotion. The rush telling has little room for complexity, blemishes, vulnerability. Ravi also makes some bewildering choices. After a few scenes with Vajpayee as a young boy, we're told that it's a few years later, and we see the 47-year-old Pankaj Tripathi as the college-going Ging Vajpayee. Pankaj is a superb actor, but this fast-forward can't be glossed over with performance. We even get a love song which only accentuates the awkwardness of these scenes. Thankfully, Page gets into the groove soon. The actor delivers with practiced ease. He finds the charisma, the mischief, the humor of the statesman, and also the generosity of his vision. Vajpayee was an astute politician, but he wasn't petty about power. There is a telling scene in which he instructs an underling to place a portrait of former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru back on the wall. He understands that respect must be accorded even to the opposition. The film, however, doesn't do the same. Indira Gandhi, played by P. Kapoor, is reduced to a sullen opportunist. The background score by Monty Sharma and cinematography by DOP Lawrence Tuna underlines this. Both Monty and Lawrence work hard to add drama to the inert writing, but it proves to be an uphill task. Lawrence can't camouflage the poor use of green screens, the Kegel victory. Especially ineffective, Vajpayee was one of India's great writers and speakers. Ravi uses his poetry to transition between scenes, and the screenplay includes way too many speeches by him and others. But some of these are also the most rousing moments in the film. Look out for the historic 1996 speech when Vajpayee resigned after only 13 days as Prime Minister. He famously said, "That moment gave me goosebumps," And I wish there was more of this in Richard Attenborough's much-celebrated biopic Gandhi. A title card says, "No man's life can be encompassed in one telling. There is no way to give each year its allotted weight to include. Each event, each person who helped to shape a lifetime. What can be done is to be faithful in spirit to the record and try to find one's way to the heart of the man, irrespective of your politics." Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a man to admire, and I wish this film had found a way to his heart. You can see Mai Atal, who at a theatre near you if you like. This review, subscribe to reviews and more.